simple, honestly. Alessandro is our head chef, as you know, and he devises all the menus in the shop, using all the ingredients that are in the shop to sell. We bring in the most wonderful fruit, vegetables, obviously cheeses, but dairy foods, all sorts of things. And the shop is his larder, so he plunders our larder to produce extraordinary dishes. But today he's going to go back to somewhere very special. Back to your roots.
Yes.
Yeah. where he comes from in Italy is Puglia, right down in the south. Hot and sultry, beautiful produce from olive oil to peppers, tomatoes, plus of course wheat, the Altamora bread.
Yes. Yeah.
Absolutely fantastic. If ever you're in Puglia, look out for bread from Altamora. But I'm not going to carry on talking. I want you to get stuck in, as they say, with Alessandro. So Alessandro,
thank you very much,
show us what you could do.
So today, as Patricia mentioned, I will show you one of the classic dish from my region, and is orecchiette pasta. Orecchiette means small ear, and the shape is because they look like a small ear, and is one of the, let's say, most iconic pasta, especially I think from the south of Italy. And we're gonna do straight away, and I will explain you how to make. As a Puglia, the roots of the cuisine, Puglia, it's very like a peasant food. So it's not very elaborated or with rich ingredients, but just few ingredients that needs to be the best one and the right time of the year. So as we are in summer, I'm gonna do this orecchiette with a very nice fresh tomato sauce with some basil, garlic, and a good southern extra virgin olive oil. So how to make the orecchiette? You will need semolina flour, so not the normal flour, but that one little bit yellow. This one it's very good to make pasta because it holds the cooking, and also the texture of the pasta will keep quite nice al dente, and it will absorb very well the sauces. So I got here 200 grams of semolina flour. I'm gonna add a pinch of salt, and to make orecchiette or any sort of fresh pasta, this one won't have any egg, so I will put 200 grams of semolina and 100 grams of water. So doesn't need extra ingredients, and just after you're gonna start to mix all your flour and water together. And orecchiette is, I think it's one of the most popular in Puglia. Every time that we go back in holiday, my mom always, she prepares some orecchiette with cime di rapa when they are in season. And this is the classic with some garlic, anchovy. Or in the summertime, she makes some beautiful orecchiette with crudaiola sauce. Crudaiola sauce is a simple, it's a cold pasta dish made with some fresh tomato, bit of garlic and basil.
So, Alessandro, when you say cime di rapa, what exactly is that?
Well, cime di rapa is a very typical type of broccoli. I won't say that is same as a broccoli. It's quite leafy and it's quite slightly bitter than the normal broccoli. And usually the best time for cime di rapa is during the winter time. But orecchiette actually, it's a pasta that matches very well with all sorts of sauces, from very rich beef or like meat, slow cooked tomato sauce bases, or even very light with like a tomato or, like I was saying, broccoli. They are nice with like garden vegetables. So I got here my semolina with water. It might look to use slightly dry, but don't worry, because now we need to really work the pasta. I got slightly more water here to add, but try to don't put too much water, because after that the pasta will be a little bit too elastic to work. So very slowly you can add your pasta, your water. And this one, if you go now, like in Puglia, you can see some lady on the street doing orecchiette on the street, because this one is, like, say, it's our Sunday meal. So orecchiette every Sunday, usually before all the family was gathered around the table, and they were doing orecchiette. So the pasta is done, I don't need any more water. It's quite nice and firm. And the difference between this pasta and the egg pasta, that the orecchiette you can work straight away once after that you make the dough, so it doesn't really need to rest much.
It seems to be a very quick recipe.
Yeah, it's a very quick recipe, and you know, it's some people, I think it's all about the shape to make orecchiette, but the dough, it's very, very simple to do it. Just needs like semolina, water, and a good work for a few minutes, because this, when you work the pasta, you help the gluten to relax, so the pasta gets nice and elastic.
It sort of feels a bit like Play-Doh.
Yes, yes, it's sort of Play-Doh. So I'm gonna touch how I'm gonna do. If it's nice and the texture, I think it's fine. And on this one, I'm gonna cut a piece of the pasta. So another important thing is to don't add any extra flour on your board, because after the pasta can get a little bit too dry and it can break during while we are doing the pasta. So now I'm doing like a sort of small roll. This one I leave it just a little bit more to rest. Just a little bit. And in the meantime, I have already some that I made before. Like I was saying, we're gonna cut.
So how long would you rest that for? Another 10, 15
It
minutes?
doesn't need to melt, like 10 minutes,
Yeah.
that's fine to rest.
Oh, I can see it's
Yeah,
very much
this
more
one,
pliable.
once the gluten really
Yes.
start to relax,
Yeah.
the pasta, it gets a little bit more easy to work.
Could you make your dough, your pasta dough, and then freeze it? And then
Yeah,
use
yes,
it?
you
Yeah.
can do it.
Yeah.
Or even this one, because it doesn't contain any eggs, it
Yeah.
keeps very well for a few days in the fridge
Yeah.
without any problem. So to do the orecchiette, try to don't do the roll a little bit quite thin, not too thick,
Yeah.
because otherwise the orecchiette won't be, they're gonna be a little bit too big. And after, you, as I say, you don't need any sort of flour, but just like a tray with a cloth. The cloth will help to absorb the excess of the moist. So now let's do our orecchiette. I'm gonna cut my roll in small piece. And very important, a knife. You don't need like many separated, but you need to have this sort of cut, let's say, the sharp, because after it will help to give the roughness to the pasta. So usually I start from the part that I cut my orecchiette, so the cut part, and with the tip of the knife you're going to press and push it, not too hard, but as well not too soft. You need to give like kind of coat the dough around the tip of the knife, and after on your toe you pull it inside and just press it, and we're gonna have our orecchiette. I'll show you again. Press it, and after you put and press it. So the particularity of the orecchiette is not only the shape, but as well how it's made, because it's made for this reason, in this way, for quite few reasons. First of all, the shape, as small conch, let's say, it's very good to keep the sauce, and also the texture wise, because you're gonna have the center part quite thin, that is gonna be nice and cooked during the cooking, and the edge, the round part, instead that one is gonna be a little bit more hard, a little bit more callous when you eat. So you're gonna have this nice and texture, bit al dente, bit soft, and you got a little bit more on to bite with. So it's not very hard to do it. I think it's a matter to practice, let's say, and even if some they breaks at the beginning or they came different shape, you don't need to worry, as they will be perfectly fine once they cook. And also I think it's a nice pasta to do because it's quite unusual, and essentially I didn't see many people doing orecchiette at home. I don't know, because maybe they are a bit scared or like they think it's a bit time consuming, but I have to say, once you start to get the rhythm, it's, you know, it's quite fast.
So again, you could make those and then on a tray, put it in the freezer and freeze them?
Yes, exactly. And good things about this pasta, it's also because you don't put, you can keep the pasta even for half a day outside the fridge, so it dry a little bit. And once you keep in the fridge in a airtight container, it keeps for 2 days, 3 days perfectly fine. Instead, sometimes, you know, the fresh egg pasta, you need to eat it straight away. So Pat, do you want to have a try? Let's come to have a try.
Okay.
Not judging.
No judging.
No.
With
So,
me, especially.
so
I was just going to say, anybody that's got beautifully manicured long nails can't do this.
Well, if you have longer manicured nails, means you're not really into cooking.
You're not actually cooking.
No, I'm joking. But you know, I think in you know, the good things once you do this is probably to get your hands dirty. So
Right, I shall do my best.
yeah, it's just like put on top.
Yeah.
I'll show
Okay.
you. I'll show
Now
you another
look,
one.
if I can do it, anybody can do it, because
So
I'm,
tip of the knife,
yes,
push,
push down,
and after
And
you pull
slip
on
over.
top and press
press.
and give it a shape.
Okay. Let me see.
Here
if
we
I
go.
can do-
We
I'm
go to-
left-handed, remember?
Okay, that's
So I have to
fine.
take the wrong way. So I do it from here.
Yeah, from the cut part.
And I
yeah.
with the blade flat or
Yeah, little bit, yes,
Oh,
like a
at
30
an
degrees.
angle?
Yeah, an angle. Yeah.
like
Need
that?
to be a little bit more. So when you start,
Yeah.
you can start this way, okay? When you start, you really put the knife
Yeah.
almost at the edge of the
Right.
at the edge,
Yeah.
and you press
And
it,
then pull
and
it
you
down.
will arrive until the other edge
Ah.
of the pasta,
I see. Yeah.
and after you push inside.
Okay.
and-
I'll have another go.
You got.
Can I use this bit?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's fine.
So I do it from like
Yes. From
that. Yeah.
you put this one on the edge. Yeah.
Yeah.
Press it.
Press it.
Press it and push it. Yeah. 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 Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Now you take your
My thumb.
thumb up and push.
Thumb.
Almost. Almost.
Almost.
Almost.
Oh, it's not too bad.
Yeah, it's not too bad. The shape is that one.
Yes.
So we have an orecchietta.
I'll
Yes.
know which one mine is when it's cooked. Yes, I think that you've just got to be a little bit at the start, that
yes,
little bit
because
of pressing down.
the pressing is very important,
Yeah.
because if you see, I don't know if
Yeah,
you can
that's a
see,
beautiful one.
when you press, it's gonna give a quite roughness
Yeah.
and texture to the ricotta.
And you need that
And
roughness
you need
for the sauce.
for the sauce to
Yeah.
absorb. And
Yeah.
also you will need this part, the center, quite thin,
Yeah.
and the edge quite thick. So you're
Yeah.
gonna have this nice texture once they're cooked. So I'm gonna.
So this could be nice to do with kids as well.
Yes,
They've
I
got
think.
little thumbs.
Perfectly. I think all the type of pasta, especially the orecchiette, I think it's a nice pasta to do with kids.
As I said, it's like Play-Doh, and they love, they love
Yes.
this cooking with Play-Doh sort of thing, and it seems very similar.
And after, like as I was saying, when you do these things at home, they don't need to be 100% perfect. They need to be tasty.
Yes. Yes.
And at least they are
It looks
homemade.
homemade. Yes.
So give it a try
Oh
again.
gosh, he's making me do another one. Okay, so
You put the
right
knife
at the
here,
end,
and you push, yeah,
yeah, and then
on the top. No, other side. Yeah.
oh, like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now
Okay.
you push down. Push a bit, yeah. Yeah, much better. It's fine. If you
Yeah.
break a bit, this doesn't matter. Yeah. And after you can put. Ci danno le strascinate. Strascinate is the same but a little bit longer.
The longer one. This
So-
one's only the first time I've done this.
But I
Yes,
can
you just have to have
Yeah.
that confidence.
confident to
Yeah.
press,
And then
and
pop it
after
over.
pop it over
Yeah.
and push down.
Oh,
And you
terrific.
can see
Yes,
the-
that's what I love, that
Yeah.
little bit of roughness on there,
On
which
the
is
top.
the perfect thing. That's terrific.
Good.
Yeah.
So while I'm carrying on to do some pasta, I think Patricia, she will talk about some of the cheese that we have on this table here.
Yeah.
And I think we can start from one of my favorite one,
Ah,
and from Puglia, and I think it's the icon. We don't have in Puglia many like hard or cows aged cheese, most of because it's quite hot region. But I think we want the most creamiest and a really lovely cheese that is burrata, and I think Patricia, she will tell you a little bit more about this
Yes.
beautiful cheese.
so we love the cheeses from the south, especially at this time of year. You can see on the table we've got beautiful tomatoes, and these tomatoes here are from a little farm just growing vegetables in Cambridge called Flourish. And they have all these different varieties of tomatoes that are really tasty and require really hardly any cooking at all, if any. And I made a pasta the other day, and I literally just tossed the tomatoes in a really lovely spicy olive oil and just heated it through, because they're so sweet and juicy. And when you think about tomatoes, you think about cheese, don't you? And normally in England we'd have like a cheddar cheese and tomato sandwich, but now we're in Puglia, we're going to have burrata instead.
Yes.
But the burrata is an interesting cheese because it's very, very popular and very sophisticated, I suppose, in the times we're living now. But it was made before from all the bits of cheese left over from making a fior di latte, which is like a mozzarella but made of cow's milk, because there are no buffaloes in Puglia. And the prized cheese was the fior di latte, which they would serve with tomatoes and the roasted vegetables and things like that. And all the bits left over, not wanting to waste, they would make, with the stretch curd, they would make a little purse or a little pocket and put the burrata piece, the fior di latte pieces into this little pocket, add some extra cream, and then do up the top of the purse, tie it either with string, or in the very olden days it would be like a long thin piece of leek to tie it up so that it held the little purse together. And because it was quite delicate, they would then wrap the whole thing in leaves and leek leaves as well, so it was completely encased. And then you would open your little leaf-filled cheese very carefully, and then scoop out the cheese. And that would have probably been eaten in very simple households. But now...
Let's open one.
You got the open one.
I showed it.
Go on. So here's one that you can see. As you open it, you can see that it looks as if there's like lumps of cheese, which is the pieces of the fior di latte, and it's still stretchy, and it's very rich and creamy, and it's the sort of cheese that you would have on its own with a little tomato salad, and just pour over the top a really good spicy olive oil. And we have our Calabrian, not Puglia, but our Calabrian olive oil, because it's really lovely and spicy with that little kick of artichoke, which is exactly what you want with something rich and creamy. You want something that gives it a little spice as well. And you just drizzle that on the top, and a little bit of pepper, and your tomato salad, and it's a wonderful first course, or a lunchtime course as well.
And one thing that I will suggest, usually basil is very nice with buffalo mozzarella, but go here something very also typical from Puglia, because Puglia has got a very kind of harsh, hot weather, and it grows around the seaside, a beautiful oregano. And I think burrata, just a bit of oregano and a bit of olive oil on top. You can be a little bit more generous of olive oil. And I think it's how you eat the burrata.
Yes.
It's as simple as it is. You don't need really much salt, pepper, but a lot of like good olive oil and a bit of this oregano, and really it's gonna give you like you really feel to be in Puglia.
Yeah, I mean, if you wanted to extend the dish to make it more of a meal, you could roast off some tomatoes, some peppers, aubergines, things like that. Slow roast them in a big pan in the oven. Don't squash them together. Have them with enough space so that they get all lovely and crisp and caramelised on the edges. And you serve that at room temperature, not cold, not hot, just room temperature. And again, you can put some oregano on the top and a little nice dousing of olive oil, and it makes a fantastic lunch. But there's other cheeses here that you can see. Now this one that's almost melted, it's really, really lovely. It's a stracchino, which is like a triple cream. You usually see stracchino not so much in Puglia.
No, stracchino is more from
it's more from the
center
north, more from Piemonte, Lombardy, places like
Emilia
that.
Romagna.
Yes, Emilia Romagna. And this is a lovely cheese, very rich and creamy, that you could use in cooking to make a sauce. But I think it's rather lovely with ham, with thinly sliced ham and salamis.
Like in Emilia Romagna, is very one of icon also of Emilia Romagna is the piadina with stracchino, squaccherone, they are quite very similar. Parma ham, prosciutto di Parma, bit of rocket, and it's got this saltiness.
Yeah, the piadina is like a big flatbread. So if you can't get piadina, you can certainly get flatbreads from all the Mediterranean or Middle Eastern shops. We've got one up the road in Marble Arch, and we often get they freshly make the flatbreads, and we bring those back and just spread on some of the stracchino and crisp up some ham or salamis and serve it as is for lunch. It's absolutely delicious. Now this is another northern cheese, but it's in a little sack, and it's a ricotta de Ceres, and it's a ewe's milk and cow's milk. Very, very soft ricotta, very light, milky, almost sweet. And you can have it savoury as a filling, if you like to have a stuffed vegetables, for instance, or you can have it sweet. I like to use it as part of our cheesecakes, using cereals with some mascarpone and other drier ricotta, and to make a cheesecake. It's really, really lovely and very versatile. And if you've got kids that are not wanting to eat too much cheese, they'll have this because you can just whisk it up, put a little bit of vanilla sugar on, have some strawberries and have that in the morning. It's really, really gorgeous. Or I make a dessert with it. Instead of avocado with ice cream and espresso, I use this. Whisk up the cereals, mix in some grains of coffee that have been mixed in with some vanilla sugar to make it sweet, and then pour over. Have this really, really cold, ice cold, and then pour over your espresso coffee. It's absolutely delicious. Actually, the recipe is in my first book, The Cheese Roll, and it's one of the most popular recipes that people tell me that they like to make. So those are 3 cheeses, and then the fourth one is one that you're going to use in a dish.
Yes, this one it's Ricotta Salata di bufala, or buffalo ricotta. It's very similar to other cheese very common in Puglia, that is cacio ricotta. Cacio ricotta means like a cheese. Cacio means cheese, and ricotta because it's like ricotta, a little bit aged, and is salted quite a lot. This one gives a particularly salty, but at the same time quite milky flavor because it's made with the ricotta, and is a classic on top of a beautiful tomato sauce. And now I will show you how really in few steps we can make a nice tomato sauce. So my orecchiette, they're going to be cooked soon, and I will show you a little bit also how to build up the dish. So in a pan, I'm gonna add some extra virgin olive oil.
And you never stint on the olive oil,
Never,
do you?
never. Now, one very important thing that sometimes people they don't really realize, it's when you use extra virgin olive oil, don't bring the heat too high. So I'm gonna crack a garlic, and I'm gonna put it inside. And what I want from the garlic is just it needs to sort of like a slightly warm up with the oil, but not fry. Because if you start to fry the extra virgin olive oil, you will lose the flavor and you will lose all the organoleptic property that extra virgin olive oil is good for. So, very gentle. You start to warm up the oil. And also, if you crack the garlic, it won't burn, but it's just gonna get nice all the flavor outside. And after, if you don't like it, you can just remove it. Or some people also they like the garlic. Some people they like to crush it and mix it again in the pan. So I'm gonna warm up my olive oil. And here I got some cherry tomatoes. So try always to eat seasonal product. This is the peak time for cherry tomatoes, or for all the tomato. Now the sun in Italy is nice and strong. They rain quite a few bits, so the tomato is nice and ripe, and it's got nice beautiful color. Also in Italy we hang the tomato under the sun. This one, it gives the tomato even more flavor because all the sugars inside the tomato start to build up more and more and more, so you got this beautiful sweet tomato. So the oil is done, and you can see the oil when it's done. When it starts to, you can see it's like a small, like a wave inside the oil. So it's done, and I'm gonna add my cherry tomato.
You haven't skinned them or anything, have you?
No. I think the cherry tomato, they are nice as it is. You don't need to skin the seeds, everything. It's what you know.
Yeah.
The beautiful of the.
Also, you can also tell the good tomatoes, can't you? When you look at the stems and they're nice and fresh and not dried
Yes.
out.
When you see if good tomato and fresh, if you pick up the tomato grape, will all the tomato in once, means the tomato they are nice and fresh, and also you can smell it, and they have a very strong tomato flavor.
Yeah.
So I got here my tomato. I'm adding just a pinch of salt, and I got the beautiful tomato, some basil plant. Also, at this time of the year is always a good idea to buy a small plant at home. So you use what you really need, because these fresh herbs, they are best just when they are picked, and once they are in the fridge for a couple of days, they start to lose all the fragrance. So they are not, or they are optimum point. So if you like, you can kind of slightly crush your cherry tomato, just a bit, so all the pulp will go.
It smells lovely.
And that, yes. Now I'm adding my basil, not chopped, just shredded. Also, if you cut sometimes with a knife fresh herbs, they bruise and they lose all their essential oil and they taste nothing. So just with your hands, shred some few leaves inside. Now, if you like a bit of crunch, this tomato sauce is ready. And if you have a very good quality tomato, I suggest to don't overcook the tomato sauce. If you like instead a quite rich tomato sauce, I suggest to use more a sort of San Marzano. They very very well and long cooking. But for this beautiful cherries, they are nice and sweet as it is, so you don't really need to do much more cooking. So the tomato start simmering, and I'm going to get my orecchiette from the kitchen. So I cook my orecchiette here already. They are just, and I put the orecchiette inside the tomato. So another important things when you do a pasta dish, always keep the pasta al dente and leave it 2-3 minutes extra inside the sauce. This one will help the pasta to absorb the sauce, and you got the final product even a little bit more special.
So I can see that the water from the tomatoes mixed with the olive oil makes the sauce, doesn't it?
Yes, it put a sort of emulsion with the
it
water and
multiplies,
olive oil, and it's
that's why it's important to use a good olive oil in a dish like this, and not be shy about using the olive oil.
so. I got here also some beautiful ceramic from my region, from Puglia. It's a classic, especially from Grottaglie. It's a small village near Taranto where I bought this one, and this one is original.
I'm not going to do the washing up. Okay.
So I got here my orecchiette, and I will plate now.
So you can see it just took a few minutes to make. So
And
you know,
also few minutes and really few ingredients. We
Yeah.
use flour, water, tomato, basil, olive oil, and bit of garlic. And this, if you do at home, you have a success, I think, because not only you bring on the table something homemade, so you know what you put inside, but also something special, something unusual. And now I'm grating this buffalo ricotta salted, and this one also will give the extra lift to the dish because you're gonna have the sweetness of the tomato, the fragrance of the basil, and this beautiful saltiness.
It's a very versatile cheese, this ricotta salata. You can use it in all sorts of things. Like we made some little pizzas. They're like a brioche pastry with cheese and ham. And you could grate some of the ricotta salata on top and just put it under the grill to let it melt and bubble. And it makes the most delicious pizza topping. Really does. Very, very versatile. I think it's underused, ricotta salata. People don't know it because they taste it and they say it's salty. But that is the condiment. You don't need salt. You don't need extra flavourings because that is enough with the tomato and the ricotta salata. That's it, isn't it?
Yes, it's quite particular as it is. And so I go here my orecchiette with the tomato sauce, and it's got a beautiful smell between the tomato, the basil, and the ricotta. It's a great combination.
Yeah, so literally minutes. So there's no excuse. You can do this. You can do
Yes,
this.
and please, if you do, please send us some
Yes.
pictures. Or if you need any extra tips, please send us a message, and we are gonna be more than happy to assist you.
So thank you for joining.
Thank you very much.
I will see you again very soon with another recipe from Alessandra's repertoire and some great cheeses from the cheese room. See you then.
Thank you very much. Ciao.
Bye. Bye.